shonen anime. The genre even your half-blind grandma is watching right now. Years and years of some of the best shows ever made. None of it was supposed to happen. It began with a broke employed dude who never even dreamed of becoming a mangaka. He just wanted to make a quick buck. This is Shonen Jump greatest accident, Akira Toriyama. Toriyama was a brat, that's how he described himself. He spent most of his childhood getting into trouble and staying outside until he got done. But even that brat had one thing he took seriously, drawing. He saw the Disney movie 101 Dalmatians and became obsessed with the idea of drawing that way. So in between running all day and egging houses, he always found the time to draw. Eventually he enrolled in a designer-rated high school and landed a job as a graphic designer right after graduation. For a kid who loved drawing as much as he did, it sounded like the perfect life. Except, Toriyama really hated it. He hated waking up at 6 AM every day. He hated wearing a tight-ass suit. He even had problems with some of his co-workers. This man hated being employed decades before it became a TikTok trend. So he quits, with no backup plan or any specific aspirations. He just wanted enough free time to have fun. The only problem was, having a free time isn't very fun when you're broke as fuck. Until one day he stumbled across an ad for a manga contest. The winner would receive a handsome prize money. Toriyama wasn't even into manga at that point. He never seriously thought about becoming a mangaka. But that money though, it was everything he ever wanted. So for the first time in his life, he decided to draw a manga. Poured everything into it. Days of hard work, completely convinced he was gonna win. And the result was nothing. His manga didn't even get a rank. This must be a mistake. Let me revise this and another one. Rejected again. But this time it came with a message from one of Jump's editors. A man by the name Kazuhiko Toroshima. It said, "This is not it, little bro, but you got potential, man." Anyway, you're welcome to keep sending me your works. For Toriyama, who absolutely hated losing, this was the ultimate challenge. Every few weeks he'd send another manuscript. Every few weeks, another rejection came in. Again and again and again. But something was changing. Every failure made him a better storyteller. His characters became more lively. His art became more expressive. He learned how to guide the reader's eye across the page. One of his one-shots, Wonder Island, even earned him a debut on Weekly Shonen Jump. His first taste of being acknowledged. It flopped. Toriyama was back where he started, still chasing Toroshima's approval. After years of being rejected, he believed he finally done it. A gag manga about a mad scientist who made an energetic robot girl. This was it. Everything he went through led to this. His chance to finally make it big. He sent it to Toroshima and the response was rejected once again. But it wasn't a straight no this time. He told him that if he can make one tiny change, it could actually be something. Toriyama was really convinced, but he still listened. He made Arali, the robot girl, into the actual main character of the series, and that decision changed everything. Dr. Slump exploded. It wasn't just a hit manga, it became a merchandise empire. Arali was suddenly everywhere. Almost overnight, the unemployed designer who entered manga for prize money became one of the wealthiest and most popular in all of Japan. For most people, that would have been the story, but for Toriyama, it was only the beginning. Because his next manga wouldn't just change his life, it would change shonen forever. Before we get into it, I would like to make a little confession. I'm not the biggest Dragon Ball fan out there. Yeah, I deserve that. I don't play the games, I don't watch every movie they put out there, and I barely watch the anime anymore. But I used to watch it religiously as a kid. I remember running back from school to catch a new episode of Z. So excited to find out whether or not this was the day Goku finally escaped the damn pot and beat the shit out of Frieza. I was disappointed for 2 weeks, but when it did happen and he went Super Saiyan for the first time, it was top 5 hypest moment of my childhood. My point is, you don't have to be the biggest Dragon Ball fan out there or the Mexican cartel to understand how important this series is. It's not just one of the biggest manga ever made, it became the blueprint for modern shonen anime. Ichiro Oda called Toriyama one of his greatest inspirations. Masashi Kishimoto grew up trying to do like him. Tite Kubo, Horikoshi, Jiji Akutami, the list goes on. The manga didn't just inspire a generation, it inspired the people who inspired the next generation. Remove Dragon Ball from history and it's hard to imagine what shonen looks like today. I mean, would people even still order a farm if it wasn't for Piccolo? Which makes one thing incredibly ironic. I don't think Toriyama saw all of that coming. No matter how much I love the man, I don't think even he realized how much influence his work would go on to have. He must have felt like Oppenheimer, in a good way. Because unlike most manga authors, Toriyama didn't have some grand master plan, and you can see that from the very beginning. By the time Dr. Slump ended in 1984, people were eager to see what Toriyama got cooking next. They didn't have to wait long, because the first chapter of Dragon Ball would release later that year, and the reactions were mixed. Unlike Dr. Slump that was an instant hit, it took some time for Dragon Ball to take off. A story about a boy with a monkey tail and superhuman strength who teams up with a girl to search for magical balls. Collect all 7, summon a giant dragon, and you get a wish. An interesting premise, but people didn't know what to think of it. It was unlike anything that was on the magazine at the time. Was it supposed to be a gag manga, an adventure, a battle shonen? Nobody really know yet. Luckily though, Toriyama didn't get discouraged. He did what he do best. He adapted. This man wasn't a regular manga author. He never dreamed of becoming a mangaka or even worked as an assistant, and he rarely planned ahead. His stories evolved the same way his career did, one step at a time. He was fascinated by Chinese culture and was inspired by the journey to the West. There became Dragon Ball. He loved Jackie Chan's movies, comedy, romance, martial arts, so he threw it all in there. And when the manga didn't get the initial reaction he expected, he took the time to experiment and see what readers were responding to. Surveys showed that they loved the Tenkaichi Budokai, so tournaments became a bigger part of the story. Readers loved Goku's rivalries, so the rivals stayed. Every week, Toriyama kept figuring out what would make the next chapter more fun than the last. He wasn't into crafting the perfect story. All he wanted was to make the next page fun. The guy was whipping out amazing food week to week, like actual happiness. And it worked. Everybody loved it. The fights got bigger, the stakes got higher, and eventually, the goofy little adventure manga about a monkey boy looking for balls became something completely different. Something nobody could have predicted. It's hard to put into words just how huge Dragon Ball is. I could sit here and list all the records, the video games, the movies, no not you, the references and other media. I could list all of that and it still wouldn't be enough. Because for those of us who grew up with it, Dragon Ball isn't just another anime. It's an old friend, a piece of your childhood you never really leave behind, no matter how far life takes you. It taught us that adventure was always waiting beyond the horizon, that losing isn't the end, and that no matter how hard life knocks you down, you can still get back up. And the crazy part is, just like Toriyama, we had no idea we were part of something much bigger than ourselves. As kids, it was just another show you'd watch. Then you grew up and realized there were millions of others doing the exact same thing. People of all ages, from different cultures and ideologies, all cheering for the same hero. For a little while every afternoon, it felt like the entire world was watching the same story. It's the closest we ever gotten to world peace. I made a video not too long ago about the pursuit of immortality, about how some people spend their entire life chasing greatness, trying to make their name live forever. But Toriyama never seemed interested in any of that. He didn't want to redefine history or make the greatest battle shonen of all time. All he wanted was to have fun, to make something readers will look forward to every week. One chapter at a time, one adventure at a time. He simply just drew whatever made sense to him, and somehow ended up creating the goat of all the franchises. The people who chase immortality rarely find it, but the men who never set out to be immortal ended up making something that probably will be. Not because he wanted to be remembered, but because generations of people simply refuse to forget.
聞こえんか？諦めるなんておめえらしくねえだろ。悲しむことはね、お父さんは死んだけど、おめえがお父さんを思うときはいつもおめえと一緒だ。